In this video, we're going to evaluate the reciprocal function, and basically we're going to look at secant, cosecant, and cotangent. So we're going to evaluate the secant, and we're going back and forth in a lot of these examples between degrees and radians. Just know the unit circle for both, and you will have to know that unit circle. You will have to know it good enough that if you're ever quizzed on it, you can easily recite it. So secant, cosecant, and cotangent of 135 degrees. All right, so going back to our unit circle, we keep going to this unit circle. This is my generic drawing of a unit circle, so it's not so messy. We're going to look at 135 degrees. So this is 0 degrees here. This is 90. This is 180, which means 135 happens to be in quadrant 2. Again, between radians and degrees, you have the same square root of 3 over 2, 1/2, and the square root of 2 over 2. It all depends on your reference angle. All right, so here we have 135. The 5 gives me a hint that my reference angle is going to be 45, because remember we have a 30, 60, 90 triangle and a 45, 45 triangle. So 30 and 60 are both ends in zeros, so if I were to subtract it from a 0, we'd still get a 0. In this case, we have a 5, which means that my reference angle is going to be the 45 one. Long story short, this is going to be a 45 reference angle. 45 reference angle is also the same as pi over 4, and the pi over 4 from other examples, this will give us the square root of 2 over 2, and the square root of 2 over 2. We are in quadrant 2 with 135. Quadrant 2, it appears that x is negative and y is positive, so we have the values of negative square root 2 over 2 and the square root of 2 over 2. Well, secant, which most people want to associate with sine, is actually 1 over cosine of theta. And our theta in this case is 135. So this is 1 over cosine, which is negative root 2 over 2, which is going to be 2 over root 2 negative. Algebra 2. I like how that negative just became part of the division. Algebra 2, we have to radicalize the denominator, so this is going to be 2 root 2, so square root of 2, square root of 2. This becomes 2 square root of 2 over 2. Simplifying this, we get the square root of 2. So secant of 135 is equal to root 2. Cosecant of 135 is going to equal 1 over sine of 135, which is actually the negative. I'm going to use a reference angle on this one because I just realized I hadn't been using it. I just used cosine theta. Sine is positive in this quadrant, so this is just going to be 1 over sine of 45. And the whole reason I wrote that is because this value is actually the same as sine of 45. It's going to be the square 1 over the square root of 2 over 2. This follows the same justification there. This is a negative, not a positive, and we get root 2. So I did not lose the negative. The negative is there. I just didn't follow through with my negative. Okay. So cosecant of 135 degrees is positive root 2, while this one is a negative root 2. I just didn't follow through with my negatives. Miss Abney. Let me clean this up. Common mistake. Even I made that common mistake. I didn't follow all the way through because I was more inclined to do the rationalization than I was to focus on the negative. Okay, cotangent of 135 degrees is equal to x over y, which is going to be root 2 over 2 divided by negative root 2 over 2, which is just going to be negative 1. All right, so there are the reciprocal functions for a single degreed angle. Make sure again you know that unit circle. The unit circle repeats over and over again. This is 30, 45, 60, but it is also pi over 6, pi over 4, and pi over 3. Alright guys, I will catch you in the next video, and if you have any comments or questions, always feel free to ask.